started, and just give me a few seconds, please. I'm trying to get some things put together. I'm trying to see my own live video because the last time that I tried this, the last time that I tried going live for the first time, there were some people joining and it was just, I couldn't see all the comments, so it was a little bit of a mess. And okay, so now I'm on the video. I need to mute it. Yay! We have, okay, so now I can see the chat, and I'm really happy about that because the last time that I went live, there were a few comments that I couldn't see to respond to fully, and then there was like, I think it was one person just here to get attention and I'm just not here for it. So I just want to see what's going on the chat. And if you're here live, let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching on the replay, you can leave a comment on this video as well. And really and truly, I'm so happy you're here, and I'm happy that you're here for this discussion. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We're talking about biblical femininity, and more so the question, why does femininity matter for Christian women? And I just want to discuss, like, just go into what my beliefs are, what I've learned, and why I think it's so important for us to really just sit down and think about, because God really loves his daughters, and he wants us to walk into and to walk in the full knowledge of our identity in him. So if you're here and you're interested in that conversation, you know, like, this is what we're here for, to really discuss femininity, womanhood, and like trying to discover the way we're designed, because I believe that is something that we've been discovering and rediscovering for centuries. Like, different movements of womanhood have come up based on the needs or the trauma of those eras, and or is it era? That's the thing with going live, you can't necessarily edit, but era, just the different times. Like, there were different movements that came up because of the needs of women, and also trauma, because make no mistake, like, there are different ideologies even in the Christian world that were presented towards women, and some of them were so hurtful that women had to stand up for their rights. And for one of them, I'm thinking about feminism, like the movement during I think it was the 70s that it started, where adult suffrage, you know, kind of like mixed together, where women were seeking their rights, the right to work, the right to have a bank account, or maybe it was before then that a woman, unless she was like, she couldn't have a bank account on her own. I think she had to be tied to the bank account of her husband or her family, which is so weird and wild for me to think about. And even the right to vote, you know, the right to have a say in how the leadership in your country is being operated, things like that. Like, there were times, literally, there are some countries where that's still like not available for women, but in most countries at this point, we have a say, we have more of a say than in the past. And a lot of that was based on the ideologies of women and or role in society. You know, a lot of it was really boxed up, like, okay, she's supposed to be at home, taking care of the home and her children and her husband. And though I believe that motherhood and, you know, taking care of your home is a beautiful thing, when it's placed on you as a limit, that can be so damaging, you know, because even right now in our society, due to different reasons, you have a lot of women who are not married yet, or even have chosen not to go down that route. You know, so what about them? What role do they have in society? And clearly now we know that there are definitely more roles that we play, and excellently. That's not just defined to an ideology of what a woman should and shouldn't do. But I go all around that to say, like, feminism rose up to really fight against that and to fight for the rights of women. And personally, I believe that it was it made a lot of good things come out for women, but therefore, but also there was the negative aspects, you know, that came about, that was toxic, like not needing men. Oh my, it's raining. Perfect timing. But it's quite fine. I don't know if you can hear it on the audio. By the way, my technology right now is so basic, and it's just like I just feel so guided to start with what I have, and hopefully in the future I can level up. Like, I say that because even now while I am creating this video, I'm looking down at my laptop so that I can actually check on the chats. But there are different streaming services where I think it's Helium. There are different streaming services where I could do all of that together, and then it would be a better one woman show. We're talking about femininity and womanhood, right? um, anyways, so back to the point. So there were different movements and ideologies, and the sad part of it is that some of it was really strongly portrayed from the church, you know. And I'm gonna say, like, the site was about biblical femininity, and I'm a Christian. I love God, I love Jesus, and I read the Word, and I love it. I love it a lot. And there are some Bible verses that people would use a lot, and I say people because there were men that would use it a lot, but even some women would go along with the same ideas and, you know, help to keep women limited, you know, from the church. And when society was in a place where the church and state were not separated, it was easy to see that, okay, these are ideas from the church and we must follow them, especially when there was a fear of God or even a fear of the church, you know, because there were different things like that happening in church history, where people feared more what the church would do and not necessarily, you know, what would come from their relationship with God. And anyways, I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I just want to focus, and I'm going to try today. So now let's see. Can we define biblical femininity? The truth is that, like, I've been studying this, and I see different passages in the Bible where it will talk about womanhood, you know, how we relate to in different areas in our relationships and so on. But I haven't necessarily seen a definition of womanhood or femininity. There are different places that you can glean from, which I think is so good, where we can be like, okay, that could be a key thing to even define our identity. And if there is a definition that you see that you know is very clear and unique, saying, okay, this is what womanhood is about, this is who a woman is, then feel free to let me know. But for now, I haven't seen a clear definition. So now I'm just gleaning from different passages that I believe are important and talks to us and that we can gain from. But at the same time, I want the point of our time together to really come down and boil down to a point that our identity as women, as men, even as children of God, comes from God Himself. Like, He has a right to define who we are and our characteristics. And even with that, like, a beautiful thing that I see with people is that we are so unique. We have different personalities and characteristics, ways of life, and even just like our backgrounds can help us to see like how we relate to the world. And I believe that's so beautiful. Therefore, I don't want to like have a definition that also places us in a box. You know, like, I believe you've probably watched the videos or read books. Some of them have been disturbing to me, saying that a woman, you know, a secure woman or something like that, wouldn't do this. For instance, um, I watched this video really recently where this woman was saying that, oh, you know, if you really want to be in your femininity, then you don't have to ask. You never assert yourself. You just draw back and be in your feelings and ensure that the person like takes the initiative and stuff like that. And something about that video really disturbed me because um first of all, it was like saying, defining someone and saying that if you're doing this, you are not in your feminine. I don't believe that we should do that. We can't tell someone that you are not being this or that you're not in your feminine when they're a woman. You know, that's the essence of who they are. You know, and we have different personalities and stuff like that. And I know that like also there's this other like um definition or rule went around that a woman is soft and sweet and kind. And I'm like, but there's some women who that doesn't come for naturally, you know? And there's also like, when you look at our biologies, like we have different waves and systems and cycles. Maybe sometimes like being assertive is the best for us. You know, sometimes being a little more laid back and calm and relaxed is better. And I think that there is some wisdom in, of course, like being wise in how you relate with people. This is not about like stepping over people, but also honoring yourself, you know, not allowing someone else to define you, right? So that's why when I'm saying, okay, when I talk about femininity, I love it. I love it from the perspective of I want us to flourish as women because with the unique characteristics and power that we have, I don't think we've tapped into it fully. Excuse me. I really wish I had brought my water. Next time I'll be more prepared. But anyways, I don't think we've tapped into it fully, and I don't think we get there by limiting ourselves. You know, I yeah, I really believe that it's something where we're still discovering. We're discovering the uniqueness because there's just something powerful a woman does where even without using her voice, even with her mannerisms, even with her silent influence, she can, I'm going to use the word again, influence her family, people around her. There's just something that we do where it's like we're able to naturally, you know, draw people in and help them, and you know, especially if that's our heart, and especially for men, and for men who we're closely connected with, and if you know it's our partners, it's like on another level, because the more intimacy you have with someone, the more influence, and men do this too. They do this from what I've observed and learned from other experts is that men have this natural way of speaking identity, you know, into people. Like they really do that well, even without saying it directly. How they treat people, how they treat women actually influences how we see ourselves. Therefore, like how a woman's father first of all treats her, we know from evidence that that actually influences how she relates to society. That gives her the foundation that whether for good or bad, is hard for her to break away from, because her father actually helped her to see her identity. And if you're a Christian and then you get saved, of course, God takes the highest place. But before we know that, naturally, it's our parents, your father, who takes that spot and helps to guide you to the next level that you're supposed to be. And it's the same for husbands. Husbands speak identity into their wives. It may be different from like father, but there's still a level where, because this man is in your life as a woman, he gets to help you to see yourself, right? So that's to say that that is a strong characteristic that men have, and when they're in their healthiest version, they do that so well. And for women, one of the strong characteristics that we have is to influence, to guide. There's so much more to it, but even just the influence that we have, to help stir people into a direction. A healthy woman does that so well, to help the people in her life, especially closely connected, to flourish. Now we can talk about her children, like if she has children, or maybe someone who, if in her career, or ministry is under her leadership, she can influence that person to even see a different dynamic or perspective that they hadn't thought about before. And I'm really sure, like, we haven't tapped into it fully. Like, we see glimpses of it in society, but when we understand it, especially from a healthy place, from a healthy place, I believe we will bless our families, our friendships, your friends, and our world so much, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about this, right? And so I didn't really see myself going into this direction, but I want to talk about some of the misconceptions when it comes to femininity. And I already went there, but I'm going to go into it some more. So one of the misconceptions that we have is that femininity is weak. And even some people who champion femininity kind of do it from a place of not being empowered, but being like, okay, you're a soft, girly girl. I love luxury, I love softness, but it's more than that. It's more than just getting what you want. It's to have an influence. And I say that because at the beginning, right? At the beginning, God told the men, men and women definitely, because it's a command for the ages. But okay, Adam and Eve, he told them to multiply and subdue the earth, to have dominion. He told both of them. It wasn't just to Adam, it was to Eve as well. And there's something that women do naturally, whether or not we want to, which is that, okay, so one of the things that's well known about femininity is that femininity receives, right? Femininity is created to receive, even naturally, right? And the thing is that it doesn't stop there, because when you're thinking about, okay, femininity is here for receiving, it can kind of give you the mindset that, okay, she just receives whatever is given to her and then that's it. She's just here to just get, But beyond receiving, femininity multiplies. We have to get to that key thing. What a woman receives, she multiplies. That is like a key thing in femininity, and I'm gonna say something that I talk about a lot, because it's just a great sign to show how powerful this is. So a woman, right, receives like this seed, in the act of reproduction, and that forms. It's even more than multiply, actually. I think multiply doesn't even like get to the fullness. From that, right, she multiplies, produces a baby. Now, it's not her to give the life to the baby, but she's definitely a key part in helping that baby to grow, and then presenting, that baby to her husband. That's like multiplication exponentially. And I heard this rabbi actually say something to the effect that sometimes that's why men can be insecure in relationships, because no matter what they give to their wives, whatever they give to their woman, she will multiply it and provide even much more to him that than he gave. Because one of the things about men and one of their identities and what has been told to them a lot, is that there's this need, this urge to provide, and it's very natural, right? um Sometimes it can be a little bit too toxic, but even then it can be on the next side where rejecting that a man doesn't want to give anything. And I don't know about you, but a man like that I do not admire. Right? So it's like it's something really natural and healthy. But even with doing all of that, right? That is something that he offers, that's a part of his identity. And even on top of that, no matter what, he will give something to like his woman, like even flour. He goes outside, he works, he gets flour, he gets the raw products, he brings it to his wife, and she makes bread. That's like on a different level. And like bear in mind, just keep in mind the fact that I'm not saying that these things can't be done by men or women, like vice versa. Let's just stay in the basic realm so we can understand something really powerful, right? So this man gives his wife flour and she makes bread. So therefore, essentially, she provides she provides something bigger than he did, because she multiplies. She multiplies naturally and instinctively, right? And the rabbi, so that we can also have a healthy perspective, is that okay, that happens and it's natural. Therefore, the men need to always think about, well, they always provided the seed, no, for real, like they're necessary for the raw product that's needed to get to the place of multiplication. So yeah, they're still necessary too, of course. And together, the relationship is like beyond anything you can think of. And even while I say that, I want to be conscious not to be limiting as well this into just a relationship between a man and a woman, because this is just like within society in different levels of relationships, like in the workforce or within ministry or anything else. So no one is excluded from this conversation, not even me, because as I'm talking about this, like I am like knowing that I am a single woman with promises that I'm waiting on, but I've got to live this life right now. And I'm doing it like with what I've got, and the relationships that I have, I see them as so key and vital. So anyways, that's a long spiel into like talking about like something like a part of the identity of a woman, and getting us to that place where we can get to define more and more who we are, right? And I don't think, because human beings are so well designed, that we may never get to that place of like full definition until Jesus comes. But we can discover more and more and do the best with what we've got. So if you're a woman like watching this, I just want to encourage you that you do so much. You receive and you multiply. And now there may be the question like, okay, what if what I'm receiving is not good, it's not well? Therefore, even more so, you've got to learn how to practice your boundaries well, right? Because it's true, like if you're receiving everything that comes at you, especially in this society that, unfortunately, there are many instances where if people can take advantage of you, they will. You have got to learn what your boundaries are, and you learn them by defining what you will receive and what you're not available for, and also with the humility that you're willing to learn. You're not just putting up walls. This, I think it's clinical psychiatrist, yeah, Dr. Cloud, he says boundaries are not walls, they're fences where you get to define what goes in and what goes out. This is one of the clear examples, like with receiving and multiplying, why boundaries are so important for women and in every relationship that we have, because you're helping people to understand how to treat you. Sometimes people really don't know, and it's like they're treating you based on the concept that they have. And also, there's some people that are not for you, but the ones who are for you and really love you deeply, even then you have to like get them to a place where they know what you're available for and what you're not, you know. And even like um, in how you respond to something, you can do it with wisdom. You can, like for me, I really believe in not um, trying to be domineering and asserting your boundaries. I don't think that's healthy. And you know, I'm thinking about the Bible verse that a soft answer turneth away wrath. I think that's helpful for women, but you've got to be firm, right? So yeah, just in case you have that question, like what if what I'm receiving isn't good, then that's something key to think about. All right, so another thing that I want to go into, and then we may have questions. If you don't have any questions right now, that's fine, we're still growing and we will get there. But I want to talk about like some instances where we see women, and not just like how do I say it, it's not just like obvious women that we see. There are great stories in the Bible about women that I love to read. I love to read the story of Ruth. I love to read the story of Hannah when she was just going before Jesus, you know, and just like well God at the time, you know, and just letting him know her heart. It was Jesus too, but based on the Jewish concept at the time. So yes, so it's not what's obvious, but it's what we look into. So the Holy Spirit, right, and Eve. The way that the Hebrew language was written when Eve was created, like her her name, like Eve, or actually Adam named her Eve, but when God said, "I will make Adam a helpmeet suitable for him," it was a phrase. I'm probably gonna butcher it up, but Ezar. You know, I really, I may put it in the description, or Ezer. Anyways, so the full concept of it, right? The characteristics of that name, because the Hebrew language has many layers. The characteristics of that name, the helpmeet, is so close. It's the closest when people do the research to the Holy Spirit, right? Because as an English speaker, when you hear the word helpmeet or even helper, it's not necessarily an empowering word, especially like in my Jamaican society, right? A helper literally means like when for instance, someone says, okay, we're gonna hire a helper. It means someone who will come and clean the house or help with maybe children, like a nanny or something like that. It's not an empowering word, and I'm gonna be honest, even in our society, like a helper may not be the highest career that you can achieve, right? So even in Jamaica, like when we're reading, I'm gonna make a helper suitable for him, it's not empowering. But when we go into the Hebrew language, then we learn so much more about how Ezer or Ezer has the characteristics of protecting. You know, like someone who goes into war and defends, right? That's the kind of person that was the concept that Eve was created into for Adam. In their relationship, Eve was so key and powerful. Powerful. Before the fall, and I believe even after, especially when Jesus came back and redeemed. Because he came back to redeem everything. Right? And even in that like mindset, like as a woman, right? She, oh, my flatmate just came back. But anyways, you can come, it's fine. um, it's fine. It's live. It's real life. So, like, I'm sorry for the noise, but we're gonna get there. So, even like, where was I? Even when like Eve was created, like I'm live, okay? But it's fine. It's good. I'm just letting you know. So yeah, so even when Eve was created for Adam, I think I was kind of distracted, sorry. So even in different relationships, like where a woman is, when she understands her identity and she brings her gifts, her personalities, those are key things that she brings into the relationships that she's in. Like for instance, a mom. Who is more protective than a mom over her children? Like, why would you even try, to, I'm sorry for you if you would try to do anything to her kids. Any mom, really, for the most part. Because, like, there's just this caring, nurturing thing that's another thing that the Ezer also has a characteristics of. There's this caring, nurturing, protective, beautiful thing, that women have naturally, and we can see it in the word. And another thing that I want to go into is that wisdom, right? Especially in the Proverbs, when wisdom is referred to, the pronoun is female. Like when it says she calls on the hills, come to me. One of the most powerful things that you can have on this earth is wisdom. And in the Bible, it's referred to in the feminine aspect. And I say all of that like, I remember when I posted a video on TikTok talking about how we're made for more as women, right? This guy found it in and of himself to come and comment on my video and say, well, it always happens, but but it's fine. There are men who actually support this, and there are some men, I don't know if it's like an insecurity, who feel the need to say, hey, even like trying to give off a kind of helpful sort of like front where we don't want you to think that, oh, like how did he put it? Kind of like from what I understand, he was saying that it's probably like a selfish concept where women are just like thinking that they're made for more, like they're not satisfied where they are, and in society that's the kind of things that they're taught. And I share that not necessarily because I care about his comment, but to say that maybe if an instance would be like you're feeling insecure, or maybe like, oh man, I don't know if I want to really like be thinking about being empowered, I want to assure you that it's not selfish. It's not like you're trying to put yourself above others. Yes, there are people that may do that, but if you have the heart where you really want to present yourself in the best way for others, one of the best things you can do is take care of yourself, because what you present to others, how you present yourself to others, will be mainly from what's going on the inside. And one of the best things you can do for others is to take care of yourself and to understand your worth and identity, because as we were talking about multiplication, that multiplies onto others. So I say all of that to say biblical femininity, like womanhood as defined biblically by God, is powerful and beautiful, and it's something I believe we need to talk about more. People are, we're starting to have and to see more people talking about it, and I think it's something we can go into some more. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. This was just so good. It was so good. It was much better than last week, especially like with the comments, but thank you for being here and for understanding as I'm learning how to do this and doing my best with what I've got. And I hope you got something well from it. Let me know in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day. Now I'm going to do something really awkward, which is like walk around and stop the live. Bye.